Hi everyone, welcome to Script and Scribe. Kat here, and today we are looking at 5 black inks and 5 black pens and which might be my favorite. Certainly let me know what your favorite combination is in the comments, or if you already have your favorite combination. If you don't, hopefully this will be helpful in helping you pick out a combo that you really like. So let's get started. We begin with the Waterman combination. Now, not all of the makes are going to be matchy-matchy, but this certainly is. We got a Waterman Careen together with the Waterman Intense Black ink, which is a standard ink. And this Careen has a medium nib. The inlaid gold nib glides like a yacht on still water. Seriously, it is one of the smoothest nibs that I own, with a controlled flow. Refined, precise, and elegant. Waterman Intense Black, and smooth that out so that you can see the variation. Let's create some lighter sections. It does dry really fast, which is a plus for when you want to write meeting notes, that sort of thing, because I think this combo is really refined. It is elegant, and I would see it as, sign some serious stuff combo, or important notes, meeting minutes, that sort of thing. It's got that sort of professional feel to it, but equally, if you just want that sort of nice, luxurious feel at home, that's cool too. So let's give this a go. And we move on to the Nagasawa Pro Gear Slim with a music nib and Vinter Shimmer Nacre. Now the pen is a stunner. Nagasawa's pens are actually produced by Sailor. The music nib has a broad stub-like profile, ideal for expressive strokes and ink show-off moments, so it can go quite narrow depending on the angle and quite broad. It's juicy, smooth, and really lets ink characteristics shine. So I took a risk because I don't usually put shimmers into my more expensive pens, but it turns out it's not so much a risk because the Vinter Nacre really just fits in there absolutely fine. The shimmer comes through. I'll show you. So this is an interesting experiment for me because the ink sometimes appears to dry quite pewter grey for a number of samples, and there's only a couple of samples online that I've seen with this sort of greenish tinge to it. But certainly on this Hobonichi, my one is showing quite an olive coming through. We'll see how it is when it dries up, but this is the Nagasawa Pro Gear Slim. So this is a music nib, and you can get the very broad strokes, or without even going backwards, you can get a nice narrow one, and you can just vary the way that this nib works. So reverse writing, not really, but you've got enough variation in this way. There's 14 karat white gold. This is the standard resin that Sailor uses, which I think is PMMA resin, polymethyl methacrylate, rather than something extremely fancy. Or some Sailor pens even use ebonite, but yeah, this is still fancy enough, as you can imagine. It's great quality. Nagasawa and Sailor, or Sailor and Nagasawa, whichever way round, just produce these wonderful quality instruments that are so reliable. Now, I would say that this black really dries as a grey, especially in a wider nib. So it would be interesting to try it in a narrower one. So then we're going to go on to the next combination, which is Pelikan 4001 together with a Faber-Castell Ambition. This takes us back to a medium nib with the Faber-Castell, and this is another standard ink, so much like the Waterman, so no shimmer, and we can expect that to be more saturated again. So this is the Faber-Castell Ambition in all black, so even the trim and the nib is black. And immediately I'd say this is slightly thinner in terms of the width of the nib in the way that it's writing compared to the Carène, which is also medium. This, of course, is a steel nib. No problem reverse writing. And that goes even beyond extra fine. That's very, very fine, but no stop start, so it's quite reliable as a reverse writer. It feels buttery smooth, almost as smooth as the Carène, not quite, but I mean that's not a surprise considering that's 23 karat gold. But yeah, it is buttery smooth for a steel nib. This is pretty much how it's writing straight out the box, so there was no sort of like skipping. I just filled it up and it's writing really nice and juicy. The ink as well, I'm really impressed with. This, I should say, again, is the Pelikan 4001 black. I really like this combination. I will happily keep those two together. I'm going to scoot this along here so that we've got room on this side to try out the Diamine Shimmering Night Sky. It just struck me that I hadn't fully shaken this up, so let's do that a little bit more again over here to see if we get more shimmer in this section, because I feel like there's a section there that was not very well shaken, and I could see quite a bit of the shimmer still sitting at the bottom of the bottle, whereas now I don't see any. So I've paired this Diamine Shimmering Night Sky with the Jinhao X750. It's a fine nib. Let's have a look how these combine.
I'm less sure about this pairing. I don't see much shimmer coming through the fine nib, which is unusual. I usually find that Jinhao fine nibs are good with shimmer, but this is certainly not performing like, let's say, a Dadao 1919. We'll see when it's dry. Perhaps it's just about it being wet and I can't see it coming through.
A final combination is this vintage Senator Regent with a medium nib, and this Pearl Noir from Herbin D, which again is a standard ink, so no shimmer. It's got a warmer quality to it than these two standard, because those have quite a grey base, but this is looking a bit warmer. So the Senator Regent is a vintage German pen, and it can look quite standard to write with. But if you wanted to, you can slightly flex it, even though it's not a flex nib. The medium, I would say, is on the finer side again, because that is definitely finer than the Carène's medium, and more in line with the Faber-Castell. The Pearl Noir, I would say, is quite an elegant, well-behaved black ink. Now that I am seeing it dry up, it's not looking quite as warm as it was looking before, but it still, to me, doesn't have quite as cool a finish as this Waterman. It does feel like a good pairing for this pen, because this pen does not behave the best, or rather it still behaves well, but it behaves beautifully when you have a wetter ink in it, and this seems to be doing the trick. And now as we see this drying, you can definitely see the sheen in this side and not that side. So I'm so glad I did a second sample, because I noticed that I hadn't really got all the sediment up off the bottom. So this is a steel nib, and all of the extra is all steel. It's just a gold tone, and you can see that there's patina to it because of the age of this. This is a pen from the 90s, so the gold hasn't really stuck on there. It's starting to show silver again in places, except for the nib. The nib looks quite gold toned still. We'll give this a minute to all dry, and then I will zoom into each section so you can see how they've dried. Okay, so this side has definitely dried, and I'm really surprised about something with the Waterman. Not with the pen. The pen has just performed the way that I'm used to, but with the quality of the Waterman Intense black ink. And that is on this Hobonichi paper. For the first time ever, I've experienced where it looks like it's got sheen in it. I've noticed that although it is a saturated black ink, it is not the most saturated ink that I've used. It is sort of leaning towards charcoal, but never have I seen it do this where it's got these sort of variations in there. That is like a little bit of a sheen quality to it, and that surprises me because it is a standard ink as far as I know. So I'm going to look that up to see if anyone else has experienced it sheening. I have not had that experience on Moleskine or Leuchtturm paper, so surprised it's almost a coppery look to it. And the reason that also surprises me for it to be a coppery shimmer to it is that it actually has a very cool look at the end, you know, where it barely does that shading effect very hardly. It's not a shading ink, that's for sure. And yet that looks cool, doesn't it? It looks grey. So why it would have this warmness.
I've now looked this up, and apparently it is something that happens on Hobonichi paper or Tomo River paper because of the coating. So some standard inks will sheen.
So then, instead of me going on about that, let's go on to the second one. This I love. It's the first time I've done this combination, and I would definitely do it again. It is the Nagasawa Pro Gear Slim with a music nib, which is pretty stubby, and it has got this beautiful color in it, the Vinter Shimmer Nakar. And initially I was wondering if it was going to dry a sort of greeny color, and that has totally gone. This does not look green in any way any longer. So yeah, really enjoying the amount of shimmer in it. Very silvery. And then we go on to the Faber-Castell together with the Pelikan 4001 Black. And this initially I felt had a very similar quality to the Waterman, but the Waterman has done that a lot more, that sort of like almost sheening effect. And I've got it slightly here too. And I like the Faber-Castell Ambition paired with this one just as much as I like the Waterman paired with the Waterman. Next we have the Jinhao X750, and this does not show the shimmer through the nib, the fine nib, as much as a fine nib of the Jinhao Didao 1919. But I didn't have a black 1919, so I thought I'd give this a go, but I don't feel that that has worked as a combination. So I would put this lovely Diamine Night Sky into a stub or into, I would try it with my 1919 to see if the shimmer comes through the nib, because it certainly hasn't with this X750. And then finally we go on to the Senator Medium Regent nib together with the Herbine Pearl Noir D, or Herbine D Pearl Noir. I think that's a successful combination. Again, for standard ink, it's got some sheening happening, but otherwise, is this a good combination for writing in the Senator Regent? Yes, absolutely. It flows beautifully with this pen. So I think they've all been successful combinations except for the X750 Jinhao together with the Diamine Night Sky, because it just doesn't show the best qualities of the ink. But the others certainly do. Well, that's it from me. Let me know what you think in the comments and whether you have your favorite pairings already. What would you recommend to me for black ink, black pen? And thanks so much for joining me. Take care.